I'm at Klong Ong Ang, which is in Chinatown, and it's actually right on the border of, what is it, Sampangtawong District and Rattanakosin District. Now the Rattanakosin District is where we explored in the last video, and what I was looking for there is some art and architecture. Now that video, I saw some fantastic architecture, and then a massive storm came, so I didn't really get to see any street art. So in today's video, I'm looking for some street art, and hey, just found some. So Klong Ong Ang has loads of, it's kind of like a project that has just been undergone some beautification. So lining the canal, which is just over here, this is the canal here, Klong Ong Ang. You can see there's a nice walkway here, and the plan is to have like things like markets and stuff here. And on Fridays, Saturdays, nights, you can find markets along here. However, it's not that busy. If you get closer to Chao Phraya River, there's a few more restaurants, but this end, which is away from the Chao Phraya River, it's not as busy as the other end. But this is where all the artwork is and the art projects. So in today's video, I'm going to be exploring street art. I'll still keep an eye on some architecture as we wander around. So I'm going to be walking around the Chinatown area and the Bangkok area, because from what I hear, there's loads and loads of fantastic street art. So that's what today's video is all about. So I've been living in Bangkok for a year and a half now, and I'm really enjoying discovering this magical city. To me, Bangkok is much like the lotus flower. The lotus flower has many, many layers to it, and it blooms in warm weather. The lotus flower blooms in warm weather and grows from muddy areas, or like pond areas, and it's very, very significant flower to Thailand, but also to Buddhists. Now, Thailand is primarily a Buddhist country, so this lotus flower has much significance. And here's one here in this street art. So here's kind of a pinky. So there's a lot of different colors for the lotus leaf, but you'll see a lot of use of the lotus flower in and around temples and Buddhist ceremonies. The lotus flower blooms, emerges from mud or pond areas, and it's always striving for the warmth and the light of the sun. And this is kind of what represents the Buddhist spirituality, this quest from rising from the mud, rising from the murkiness, striving for purity and holiness. The lotus flower represents purity, spiritual awakening, and faithfulness, and it's the symbol of the Buddhist quest. It's a symbol of the Buddhist quest for striving for enlightenment, arising from that murky waters of disillusionment, striving for purity. The flower itself emerges from the mud, constantly growing upwards, representing the act of spiritual growth and reaching enlightenment. The lotus flower comes in many different colors, but there's a couple of colors that have great significance in Thai and Buddhist culture. The white lotus represents spiritual perfection. The blue lotus represents wisdom. The pink lotus represents Buddha, whilst the yellow lotus represents spiritual ascension. So the lotus flower to me it really does represent Bangkok and my quest to discover more and more about Bangkok. The more I actually kind of discover, the more layers I peel, the more I can peel back, and the more layers, the more it reveals its beauty to me. So just traveling around the streets, just putting this in context, in Bangkok, just my journey here. There's so much amazing architecture and also so much amazing street art. But this video today is going to focus on the street art, which is focused around the Chinatown area and also the Bun Rak area, because the Bun Rak district and Sampangtawong district is the area I'm focusing on for this series of videos, because I'm trying to really focus and dig deep and trying to discover this side of town, which is just right on the banks of the Chao Phraya River. So one of the best things to do when you're in Bangkok is to travel by taxi, and back pre-COVID times you could sit up the front seat and have a really good look around. But Probably the worst way to see the town is in the back of a tuk-tuk, because tuk-tuks, if you're a big framed person, a tall kind of Westerner like me, it's actually really hard to see clearly. So I would recommend walking is number one. Walking is the best way to discover Bangkok, but the second best way is in the front seat of a taxi, where you can have a good look around at all the amazing architecture and art that's on offer here in Bangkok. So let's go on a journey. Let's go and find as much street art, cool street art as we can today. So this video here today is actually a part of a series of videos which explores Chinatown and the Ban Rak and the Sampangtawong District. So if you're interested in that, then let's hope you enjoy the video. I'm in the middle of one of the many markets in Chinatown, and I'm leaving Klong Ong Ang and heading to SONG WAT ROAD. SONG WAT ROAD is in the Ban Rak area, or the southern side of Sampangtawong area district, and I'm going to be there searching for some street art. Now, if you're interested in markets, I've done 2 other videos about Chinatown markets, so check them out. I think they're well worth your trouble. To navigate my way through Sampeng Market, and I'm heading towards the Chao Phraya River now, searching for some street art. But I'm also just really impressed, not only the chaos of these markets, but also like looking up at some of the architecture around this area. There's these 3-story, 4-story shop houses that it just looks so cool, and it's easy not to see them because your focus is distracted. Your attention is on all the chaos down below, all the shops, but also the motorcycles and the food, and there's a dog over there. Yeah, it's so easy to forget to look up. Okay, got my bearings. Here's my reference point, my favorite old building, State Tower. Okay, so I'm new to Bangkok, and I'm learning more about it every day. I just looked it up. That is not the State Tower. I've been calling it the State Tower. I don't know why. I think it's because there's a similar building which did not actually get completed. It's also nicknamed like the Ghost Tower. And it's built by the same company and they look the same. But this one up here is actually called the Bangkok River Condominium. Hang on, let me just double check that. Bangkok River Park Condominium is what this one's called. It's not the State Tower, but I'm just hoping to, hope you understand. The tone of these videos is a learning and discovery. So as everyone knows, when you start to learn something, you're going to make a few mistakes. So sorry about that. But that's a really handy reference point. So I'm going to head to that, and that's going to be at like the northern end of Song Wat Road, and that'll take me down to a lot of street art. So I'm just leaving the Sampeng Market now, and it's also near the Rattanakosin Pier. Now I've talked about the Rattanakosin Pier in another video, a previous video, when I was talking about King Rama I and also King. So if you want to learn more about early those old Vespers. So if you want to learn more about King Rama I and the Rattanakosin Pier, check out that video. I think I'm going to run out of battery before I actually get to the street art, but because I've got my kind of architecture, I'm looking at Bangkok through this architecture lens and this street art lens, I can't help but find all these really cool things, like just this gate here and the colour of it and the metal, even some old signs I really like the look of. This is a cool area, I like it. And fortunately today in Bangkok, it's actually not that hot, very, very unusual. So there's actually a lot more people out and about. Usually I'm kind of wandering around. I'm basically the only guy walking around in the middle of the day. But have a look at the yellows and blues in this shop house here. Man, this is a really good place to get lost in. And I tell you now, I have been getting lost. Back years ago, I used to be in a rock band. I had dreams of becoming a rock star. I'd love to do a film clip here. Speaking of which, all the music that you hear in the background, I've actually created myself. And I'm going under the name of Tilly Tunes. So after I've made a batch of songs, backing music for YouTube, I'm going to upload it for another YouTube channel. But for me, when it comes to editing videos, I take a little bit longer because I do create my own music for it. And it is kind of, it really is a labor of love. So hope you like my music. The premise is kind of like not too distracting music. And I used to be a drummer, so all of my music, my backing music, is very, very rhythmic. Have a look at this cool Vespa here. Beautiful. Vespa, the colours, the old colours, and this old decrepit wall. And look at the tree up here. The roots searching for dirt. Up here. Yeah, I'd love to shoot a film clip here. I get the band to set up here, play a few tunes here for a couple of seconds. I've got a lot of good background images here for my rock band clip. Let's get back to the main purpose of this. I'm looking for street art too. I've got to try not to use up my battery. Hello, little cat here, cleaning. I've got to be careful not to use up my battery just on buildings. I'm going to throw a few cat pictures in this video for Bangkok Pat. If you haven't seen Bangkok Pat's videos, they're pretty cool. And he always manages to get some footage of cats. So that's for you, Bangkok Pat. Seriously, have a look at this building here. Probably over 100 years old. So cool. So you notice this really cool old century-old building here with the colour scheme, and right next door to it is an old bank with one of the Garudas up top. And then there's another really cool wooden building down here that we're going to have a closer look at, and that takes us to the Rattanakosin Pier. So this area here is loaded with, Song Wat Road has loads of these 2 or maybe even 3-story shop houses, which are the original buildings from over 100 years ago. So if you can picture your mind back, or I'm imagining back of the ye old days when Rattanakosin Pier was at its peak, immigrants from China were arriving, also the goods were being brought into Thailand and exported as well. So this Rattanakosin Pier area and near the Sampeng Market was just bustling with business. It was the place to be, and I tell you what, it's still bustling today. But it's so interesting walking around looking at all these really cool old shop houses. Wires everywhere, chaos everywhere. Fascinating place. Hello. So all of these shop houses here have been in the family for generations and generations. And there's quite a few that are actually not in use today and are empty. And I was just reading about there's a Chinese kind of Thai Chinese belief with a lot of small business operators that to sell the shop house is actually bad luck. So therefore, sure, they don't have a viable shop or anyone to run a shop or a business to run, but they refuse to sell it because it's going to bring bad luck. I still haven't gotten close to any street art yet, but you can see this building over here. This is a newer style building where they went from the 2 to 3 story shop house, which is like over here, to an actual building where they had units for people or officers or that kind of thing. Now you'll see a little bit of this happening nowadays. So this is the Bangkok Hostel and Jing Jang Coffee Roaster. So some of the old buildings have actually been renovated now. They retain their old style and shape, but they're decked out with a modern cafe on the inside. So that's popping up more regularly nowadays around Chinatown area, the Ban Ra district. Okay, time to look for some street art. Still haven't found the street art, but I found plenty of other cool stuff like this. I'm at PEIING Public School, and it's not only really beautiful, really interesting, but it's also very famous too. So this is a very famous school, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. So I've just done a bit of research here. It's over 100 years old, this school here, and it's known for its excellence in teaching Chinese language. Now, several of Thailand's top businessmen have attended this school, including Charon. I'm not going to try and pronounce his family name. It's beyond my skill set. He's the man who runs Thai Beverage PLC. Also, a guy named Paibul, who's the boss of GMM Grammy, which is a very famous production company here in Thailand. Now, this road that I'm on is called Song Wat. Now, Song Wat, the literal translation means drawn by the king. Now, the reason it's called Song Wat is literally this road here was drawn by King Rama I. So the plan that the king drew originally had 5 roads. Rattanakosin, as we were just on, is one of them. Yawarat is another one, and Song Wat. Yeah, there's just to name 3. So there's some that we've been exploring in great detail. So it was Song Wat that was actually drawn by the king, and it's called Drawn by the King. So before Don Muang Airport, this was the place. This was the place to be. This is where all the people arrived and departed, and all the produce came in, was imported and exported. So you just picture, this was the center of all the action back in the King Rama I, like 4, 5, 6, that era. And also, if you can imagine here at Rattanakosin Pier, this was just when steamboats just started to become a thing, and this was the gateway for international travel. So if you were taking, if you wanted a trip to Europe, you would depart from here, and your steamship would head towards either Penang or Singapore, and then onwards to Europe. One thing that I've always wanted to do. interesting place. This is a mosque on SONG WAT ROAD, and I'm standing in the cemetery area. It's an Islamic cemetery, and a couple of things that are really, really interesting. First of all, the buildings that surround this area are really fascinating. Some really cool old architecture. But also what's really interesting about this mosque was built when trade opened up, and this area here at Rattanakosin was quite bustling with international traders, in particular many from Malaysia. So to cater for their religious needs, and this mosque was built. So this is an Islamic mosque. Now it looks unlike any other mosque I've ever seen in my life. It's actually built a European kind of style, but the color scheme actually looks like it's straight from the set of a Wes Anderson movie. The yellow is just so kind of vivid, and like it's a soft vivid. I don't know if it seems like two opposing words there, but it's such an interesting choice of colors and building for a mosque. It's definitely worth having a look at. It's so unique. So the color palette they've chosen here is really interesting. This yellow, it's actually yellow is a really popular color in Thailand, but I haven't seen many in a mosque. So this is a mosque built, it's a European style building. It was really interesting, really amazing building. Doesn't look right now, it's a midweek, but I don't know how active this is. But anyway, it's really in good condition, this building. A couple of the other buildings surrounding are very decrepit and falling down. This one is in really good shape. Okay, time for some more street art. Just keep getting distracted with the really cool architecture, and also just picturing life back in the early 100 years ago, in the King Rama I time, what it was like. Now also, if you're traveling around Bangkok, keep an eye out for these brown signs. They're really handy. They're dotted all over the city, and they just give a little, maybe 1 or 2 paragraph history about the place. Any place that's of cultural significance, they've got one of these brown signs up. So I'm always looking out for these. So these signs are one of my best friends when traveling around and trying to trying to dig a bit deeper in some of the places here in Bangkok that I found. Good news indeed. I have found some really important street art. Now just behind me is the Chao Phraya River, and here are 2 really important pieces of street art. The bicycle, and on the opposite side, 2 elephants. Art festival. There's been 2 of them here in Bangkok. The first one was in 2013. So the first one was in 2013, and the second one was in 2016. And the Bangkok Festival, the word actually literally means invasion. And this is these events, some street artists from all over the world were invited here to Bangkok to create some impressive installations. So these are two amazing installations that were created as part of the Bangkok Art Festival. So this artwork here is by ARYZ. He's a Spanish artist, and it was done in muted colors. Now if you look closely, you'll see two massive bicycles, and they're considered deconstructed bicycles. And then down below you'll see really small people. So it's interesting, that contrast between the really large deconstructed bicycles and the really small people here. Now they were painted in, when it was actually painted, it was painted in muted colors, and it actually blends really nicely into the cityscape. Now this is getting on a bit. This is nearly 10 years old now, and it's actually, you can see it's actually really like become part of that wall. It seems like it really belongs on that wall, that canvas that it was actually painted onto. But if you compare it to the colors that are around as well, it really blends in nicely. It actually, it looks like it actually belongs here. But also I like that kind of idea of the bicycle as well. The history here of this hustling, bustling place with the Chinese immigrants and the markets. There would have been a lot of pedal-powered machines going around too. So it seems to let that little tap to the history of the area as well. And the three, it seems, three gentlemen in the foreground as well. They have like a historical reference. They're wearing kind of colonial style clothing. And the guy on the left here too looks like a more an official type of person, whether it's a policeman. And the two gentlemen on the right are kind of looking at him. You know, are we going to get in trouble? That kind of a look, which I think most people have innately when they see a policeman. If they're driving on the road or see some police, they're like, "Oh, police, have I done anything wrong?" It kind of looks like that. Tumbling Elephants. This is a mural by the artist R.O.A. R.O.A. is from Belgium, and he has a lot of these similar kind of pictures or murals that are done all over the world in a lot of major cities. Now, unique to R.O.A.'s styles is the black and white that he uses, but he also puts this, the painting seems to like defy logic. Like, you know, the tumbling elephants here, kind of somehow seemingly suspended in air, balancing just on the head and the shoulder of that bottom one with a little bit of the trunk there to balance. You know, it seems completely impossible for this to happen. So when you see it, it's like, whoa, that's unusual. Like, that's not how you usually see an elephant. And so this is unique to his style all over the world. It's this kind of an ironic view. Now, also what's unique to this style also is when R.O.A. does work, he uses he often features an animal that is unique to that place. So the elephant here, of course, elephant is ubiquitous with Thailand, and it's throughout history the elephants have a really significant place. Now, right up to today. So these elephants here, the concept is what's unique to R.O.A.'s style is that he puts animals back in their place. So he's putting this is a urban cityscape here with a lot of buildings and a lot of hustle and bustle where animals don't belong, where R.O.A.'s artwork is actually putting the animals back in their place, back to where they belong. So it's nice to have the elephants back here in the city. I like the top elephant there. He's just taking it so easy. He's just he's like, yeah, you do all the hard work down below, I'll just take it easy up here. I really like this piece. This is wonderful. see one of the Garudas down there. That's a royal approved business. Now I'm just approaching the one of these intersections here. Now in these old cities, these old towns, what I've come to discover is these small little intersections kind of are so unique. They've got so many unique buildings. Like this pointy one up here, and then looking at the orange ones over here, and then those wood one down there that's built on some weird angle. So when you, and speaking of intersections, I don't even know what this is. Is it a roundabout? Is it a U-turn? Intersections are really unique, and there's a pier, an old pier that doesn't even seem to be in use anymore, just down there, and the 7-Eleven here with loads of food stalls. Seems like you can park anywhere you like here as well. Of course, you've got to have a cool old Vespa, and then just really old unique shops as well. I don't know what that one sells. Look at this building here. It's 1 meter wide. 2 stories, 1 meter wide. Fascinating. These quaint shop houses here, 2-story shop houses, are very similar to what you'd find in Phuket Old Town, and also in Malaysia in Penang as well. I like how they're all connected, and they all have the same colour, but just decked out with different types of shop down the bottom. But yeah, very picturesque, very nice. It's actually Soi 118, and it goes all the way to Sampeng Market. So you can walk along this road all the way. It goes parallel to Chao Phraya River, and it's about 4-5 o'clock. So, and it's actually a public holiday today, so things are shutting up. The streets are fairly quiet at the moment, and that's the reason why. Just be sure to keep an eye out for the cool old Vespas. Now, I'm still trying to find some street art. Actually, I haven't had much success. I was sure this video, I've already burnt up one battery, expired one battery, and I've only seen really two significant big street art installations. So I'm not having much success with street art, but I am having a lot of success with just having a wonderful exploration. The impressive work by AITCH, and some dude's parked his car in front of it, but it actually kind of adds to the authenticity of it's not like behind us a glass plate in an art gallery. But I tell you what, if he had a passenger, I think the poor old passenger wouldn't have been able to get out of the door. He would have had to climb over the other side. Anyway, this is a work by AITCH. Has some really impressive work. I'm actually a big fan. This one is, you can see it's like at the top there, it's starting to, the paint is already peeled off. But what's really striking about this piece, first of all, is how vibrant the colours are. Now it's interesting, like in context, just look at the colours that are around the surrounding area. This kind of aqua style, teal kind of colour here, bluey colour over there. So when you can put those two colours together, it's actually quite a nice little colour combination. But then right next door is a beautiful temple as well, with all the golds and blues and reds as well. So this intersection here is actually quite colourful. So it actually fits. It's like, it's in context here. It really seems like it fits. It looks like it actually belongs here. So this installation by AITCH was painted in 2016 as part of the Buk Ruk Festival. It's heavily patterned with florals, floral design, decked out with tiger and other striking, vivid imagery. So sadly the tiger is no longer, but you can see that was one of the central pieces at the top there, was with a big tiger. And some birds there, some fruit. So really natural imagery. H is Romanian, and she developed an interest for art and design in high school and then furthered her study at university. Now when she was at university studying visual arts, she was offered an opportunity to experiment with a variety of media and techniques as well. So she explored ink, printing with lino, acrylics on wood, and she through this exploration she discovered that she actually liked them all. They've all got their unique characteristics, so she stuck with them all. She didn't really branch off and focus on one media or technique in particular. Interestingly, after she graduated from the Fine Arts College, she landed a plum job at a really famous and groundbreaking art agency called Leo Burnett. That job lasted 3 days and then she left, she quit. I like here, there's a quote here from H. My main sources of inspiration are nature and traveling. By visiting and living in different corners of the world, I'm exposed to the culture and aesthetics of those places. I ultimately try to express all of this information through a wistful, distinct filter of my own. And she definitely has done that here with this beautiful pink installation. What's the secret of her success? She says here, she has the Eastern European heritage, but she moves somewhere new every 2 years. She has an affinity for synthesizing all pretty things that cross her path. I'm really inspired by her and her artwork. I really, really love that stuff. So I'm at the Talat Noi Museum here, and it's right on the Chao Phraya River, and it's a good spot because there's a film crew here and they're filming something with this cool background. The sun's sort of going down now, and also in the background there you can see my the Bangkok riverside condominium that I use as my reference point. Here comes a boat. So the architecture, the changing architecture and face of Chinatown. I think Chinatown has always been changing. So the fact that it's changing now, it's actually true to form. But what it's going to look like in the future, I'm impressed and excited to see some of how they retain some of the old buildings and modernize them or put some new things inside. But I think the main question is like the ownership of the actual shop houses or the area or the block of land. It's really up to them, and sadly it's all going to be driven by profit. So what is the most profitable is what's going to probably, it's probably going to be what it will become. Then the other thing that I think Chinatown, one of the challenges it's faced with also, is there's not like one particular governing body. So even if one shopkeeper, one shop house owner actually has some really good idea, then they are alone, and they are constantly being pushed around by economical changes or things like pandemics or tourist increase or decrease or or even some new government legislations. So I think it would be very, very difficult to actually to really steer anything in Chinatown, because there's just so many forces at play here. But I tell you what, right now I just love walking around. What Chinatown's going to become in the future, it's anybody's guesses. But there are a few building projects that are underway. So I think we might see a little bit more, some more gentrification. There will be some more, you know, shopping malls, I can imagine. But you know what? One thing about Bangkok that maybe will prevent the shopping malls from coming to this side of town is the fact that there are so many shopping malls outside of Chinatown. So kind of hopefully that if people in Bangkok want to go to the shopping mall, they go to other areas. If they want to come to Chinatown, it's for something unique and something different. So that's my hope. So part 2 of my art and architecture tour of Sampangtawong, Klong Ong Ang, and the Chinatown area is coming to a close. It's time for me to find some food, and I couldn't think of a better place to be than Chinatown when looking for some food. So just so you're aware, I'm going to do a video pretty soon which is all about the food in Chinatown, because that definitely deserves one or possibly even more episode, because Chinatown is really quite famous for its dining options. So that's a future video to come. So for me now, I'm off to find myself a little snack, and I think I've earned myself a beer, and kick back and reflect on the day. So most of the videos so far in season 2 have been about the history of Chinatown and the colonial period and the Bun Rak area. So I'm going to shift focus a little bit, and future videos are going to be a little bit about the hip and happening spots. I think I might do a pub crawl of Chinatown, because there's some really cool spots, cocktail bars and craft beer places in Chinatown, which I think I need to explore, I need to discover, and I can share the experience with you. But I feel that my knowledge of Chinatown has definitely increased, and my love and interest for Chinatown and Bangkok has also increased. Geez, it's hard walking and filming. Anyway, yes, my interest is a bit like that, as we talked about earlier, the lotus flower. The more I peel, the more layers I peel, the more I discover, and the more I love it, and the more beautiful it is. So I'm going to continue these quests to discover more and more about Bangkok, and in this season, the Bun Rak area and the Sampangtawong area. Oh, and look where we are. China Gate. Very important landmark in Chinatown. This is the top of Yaowarat Road, and Yaowarat Road is known as the Dragon Road because it's shaped much like a dragon, and if the road is a dragon, then this should possibly be known as the Dragon's Head. Two very important Chinatown landmarks side by side.